Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Feature Friday. We'll get started here in just a moment. Hope everyone has had a wonderful week. And boy howdy, I do believe spring is officially here. I know it's been up and down here temperature wise, but it's really doing well. Hi Jacqueline. How are you doing? Good to see you. Hi. Woohoo. Alrighty. Hi, Pamela. Welcome. Welcome to Feature Friday. Hi, Bernadette. Hi. If you're wondering why I'm looking over this way, that's where my monitor is, and my camera is right here for me to talk to you in. So if you see me cutting over this way, or I've already... Hi, Coralie. Welcome, and thank you so much, Coralie, for being one of our private club members. You're very much appreciated, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Coralie. It's so good to see you on here. Hi, Christina. Big hearts to you as well. Hi, Mia. Hello. Woo. Okay, buddy. Go to your bed. Go to your bed. Good Bobo. Alrighty. We'll get started here in just a moment, everybody. Get another sip of my coffee. And as you can see on the wall and behind me, I've got all the finished blocks so far for where we're at with just flowers. Wow. It's blocks 1 small, block 2, and block 3. Yes, tonight we're making block 4. We'll be making 2 of these. Oh, thanks, Mike. Yes, everybody. My YouTube channel likes 1 subscriber to actually hit 4,000. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. It has taken 3 years for us to get up to that point. Oh, thank you, Bernadette. They're so much fun to make also. Hi, Becky. Okay, so we're going to get started. Welcome to Feature Friday. Oh, Christina Puffin's around here wandering around. He hasn't retired to his couch for the night just yet. But I've got all my fabric laid out for the 2 blocks, and the block we're going to make tonight is block number 4. Okay. So I'm going to swap to another camera so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Right there. Hello. So this is the one we're making tonight, block number 4. These are so much fun to make, aren't they, Bernadette? Oh my gosh. Flower number 4 right here. We just have to make 2 of these blocks for our quilt. Okay. 3 different fabrics, 1 fabric for the outer petals, a different fabric for the inner petal, and then a different fabric for the center motif. But we're going to make both blocks tonight on camera. We're going to have some fun. Oh, thank you, Mia. Thank you. I appreciate you so very much. Okay, so that's what we're doing tonight. And let's see. Let's get a preview of next Friday night, the block number 5. What does that look like? Let's have a quick look here. This is all the papers that come with the pattern from Lunch Box Quilts. And flower number 5. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. So next, this is next Friday night. Is this one right here? Okay. Now the week of May 13th, which is 2 weeks from tonight. There will not be a Feature Friday, everybody. I will be in Boise, Idaho at the Rusty Barn Quilt Show. So if you're in the Boise area, please come and visit me. That would be awesome. Would love to see you there. So that week of May the 10th and the 13th, May the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, there will be no videos anywhere on any of my channels. That week we'll be traveling and all that fun stuff. So, but there'll be plenty of stuff the week after, so it'll all be good. Let me set that to the side. And we're going to get started here. Okay, so let me swap to yet another camera. I can show you on my screen what we're... Okay. Just a minute here. There we go. So I'm going to pull up my screen, go to Embroidery, go to the pocket, and I'm going to pick the USB slot that has my embroidery designs. Pocket, Just Flowers, PES, and I want flower number 4. That's what we're doing tonight, which is this one right here. Touch that, set it, and now we're in Embroidery Edit. So I'm not going to touch nothing in here, so I'm going to go to the Embroidery Stitch Out screen. Oh, congratulations, Coralie. Happy birthday. Oh my goodness. That'll be your day in May, there in May the 10th. Awesome. So here's our layout for it. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Layout, and this icon right here, it looks like a flower with a box around it. That's how you add the basting stitch at the beginning of any design. So it's highlighted, and I'll touch Layout again, and now you see the first thing I'm going to stitch out is my basting stitch. And the reason I'm doing that, excuse me, is just to secure my background fabric to my stabilizer. Okay, so I have one of them hooped. There's my hooping. Tearaway stabilizer. I'm going to attach this. And we're just going to get busy with the stitching. Bernadette, same thing on the Altair. There is zero difference between the two. For everything I'm doing for this, zero difference between the Solaris, the Altair, the Meridian, the Destiny. It's all the same. I am not using any Solaris specific features for this project. None whatsoever. Okay. Okay. It's want me to change to a larger hoop. Hold on just a second. I see why. Oh, come on, you. So see, I cheated. I'm using a 6x6 hoop that does not come with any of the machines, just to economize on stabilizer, but I may not be able to do it on this block. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's go back to this. Yeah, I'm just going to go start it over. That basting stitch may be why it did that. Let's see here. Right there. I'm going to pull that back out again. And that is what did it. Notice right up there, there's the size of my stitch out. So when I go to Embroidery Edit, And let's say I want to add that basting stitch. It just pumped that up to 6.05, which is larger than my hoop. Oh, Carol, you don't have to have a 6x6 hoop. That is something most retailers do not keep in stock. They can order you one from Baby Lock. However, if you could just have to use a larger hoop, and just you have to have at least have all the stabilizer in the hoop, and then you could just float your fabric on top of a larger hoop full of stabilizer. I'll show you all how to do that next Friday night, so you know what I'm talking about. But I just happen to have this 6x6 hoop in my stash, so that's why I picked that one out. Otherwise, I would probably be using either my, depending which machine you have, I'd use the largest hoop, and then I could make 2 blocks in one hooping that way to make the best use of my stabilizer in that hoop. Okay, so I'm going to not use that on this one. We'll see how that goes. There we go. So I'm not going to baste this one, simply because it made it too big for my little hoop. And we'll just see what it goes. I may have to make an extra one. We'll see. I don't think so. Now then, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch down the placement stitch for this item. And let me think here for just a second. Yes, I'm going to do the placement stitch. So instead of doing a basting stitch this week, I am not doing the basting stitch. No, Karen, you cannot change that. That is something you cannot do. Oh, that'd be wonderful, Bernadette. Yes, the Altair comes with 4 hoops. It comes with the 9.5 by 14, the 9.5 by 9.5, the 5 by 7, and the 4 by 4. That is what comes standard with the Altair. And what it's doing now, it is just sewing down placement stitch so I know where to place my fabric for it to do that. And this will be okay. This is actually basting it down now, so I just have to be careful in this step. Since I can't do my basting, then it stays nice and flat. If you wanted to use a fusible stabilizer, you would not need to do any type of a basting stitch as far as that goes. And I can see this is going to be a lot of trimming. Well, this is going to be a pretty block. This is going to be a really pretty block. Maybe you can see this. Let me move this camera a little closer. You can see what it's doing there. It's these outer petals that we're going to do first. That's what it's stitching down for the placement. Good evening, Cynthia. So next, we're going to place our fabric on there. keyboard out of the way. There we go. I'm going to place my fabric on there, and we're going to do the tack down stitch. There we go. Right there. That should be good. Mark, that's a wonderful question. And I don't have a good answer for that one. It would be nice to have some slightly larger finger openings. I have pretty big hands. But yeah, it would be nice to have a slightly larger finger opening, for sure, in my humble opinion. Great answer, Bernadette. And that's a wonderful idea, Karen. I don't see why you couldn't use those squeeze snips. I have them sitting by my long arm. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go grab one of the pairs and we'll try those tonight and just see how they work. Normally I use those squeeze snips for thread cutting, but we'll give them a shot on here. Oh, you're too kind, Bernadette. Thank you. Hi, Linda. Good to see you on here, Linda. Oh, certainly, Cynthia. So far, the little Kai snips are my favorite for trimming for applique. Absolutely 100%. Oh, and Bernadette, Baby Lock has a lot of awesome educators. I'm just lucky enough to be included in that group. Londa, you would not have to do the placement stitch for sure if you know exactly where to place your fabric. That's the only reason you would do a placement stitch. Absolutely. Now, once I get this first one done, I will not do a placement stitch for the others at all. But for this first one, and usually that's what I also use the basting stitch for. It gives me a line to line up my first lay down of fabric on. So now we're going to take this out and get this trimmed out. Okay. And we're going to try my squeeze snips out on this one. Or at least I'm going to start, and we'll see how it goes. But here's what we're talking about. These you just squeeze. And generally, I've always just used these to snip thread with. I don't know about how it'll do with fabric. Let's just give it a go and see what happens. Adjust the camera down some. Here we go. They're working quite well, actually. Okay. They're cutting fine through the fabric, and yes, that eliminates having to have the little finger holes for sure. But I can tell you the little Kai scissors it just seems like it cuts better. Now my snips are old. Okay, these are old. I've had these for several years. But nope, they're doing just fine actually, as far as that goes. And they are curved. They have a slight curve to them, just like the Kai's. It's cutting it nice and neat right up to the tack down stitch. I'm sorry, I'm not watching the chat window right now. I'm focusing on doing the trimming. And on this one, I'm not going to trim out the center part. It's just the way I see the way this buildup is. You could if you wanted to, of course. But I'm going to do this one. I'm not going to do that. And we'll just see how it goes. We'll experiment here. And there we go. So I'm not going to trim out this center portion right here. There are stitch line, tack down stitch lines there, and I could trim that out if I was worried about that. I think it'll be okay. We're going to do the first one and not do it. And then if I have an issue, then of course I'll have to do it for the second one. We'll see. Okay. Let's rethread my thread. Oop, but no, because I need to change my thread color. Okay, get that back on there. There we go. And then I'm just going to change my thread color out. I just like my thread to match whatever fabric I'm going to sew down. This is next. It's going to go on top of it. Oh, and from last week, what I discovered, I now have a size 90 embroidery needle in. I was shredding thread last week, and that is what actually ended up solving my problem. Just so everybody's aware of that. Yes, Bernadette, there is for whatever reason, I think we've had some new people move into the area, and for whatever reason, there is going to be some buffering at times. However, it's showing on my end an excellent connection right now. Don't know what to say about that, but I've informed my internet provider of some of the issues, and they're supposed to be sending someone out to work on it. Okay. Now this time, I am not going to do the placement stitch, and if you want to skip that, I will show you. This works the same way on any of our machines. Okay. I'm going to go here to needle minus and plus, and this is the placement stitch, but I don't want to do that this time. I'm just going to go one down, and then that will be the tack down stitch, and touch OK. And now it's actually just going to do the tack down stitch. There we go. Okay, so there's that. Now we can trim that one out. So you can see how that's stitched down right there. Okay. Let's see here. Pamela, the Baby Lock Ultra Soft Fusible. That is if it says ultra soft, that is probably something that you would use, like for instance, to cover up the stitching on the back of a t-shirt or something like that. Yeah. So for embroidery on cotton fabrics, you want to have a medium weight tearaway or a fusible if you're going to be using it on cotton, for instance, cotton quilting fabrics. Now we're just going to trim this out. Okay, there's that. So next will be the circular little circle for the center right there, and I am not going to do a placement stitch again. We're just going to do our tack down stitch. That's what I selected for the center. Okay, and I'm going to change my thread color again. Okay. And now we'll just press the button, and we are going to do our tack down stitch for the center of the block. Okay, then we'll trim that out. I apologize, everyone, for the technical difficulties. My ISP is supposed to be working on it. Of course, if you've ever had to deal with something like that, they'll give you 1,000,001 reasons. And after they realize you've troubleshot everything you can on your end, then they agree to send someone out, but there's usually about a 2-week wait for someone to show up. Okay, there we go. Check that out. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Woohoo! It doesn't even have the pretty stitches on there yet. So we'll start. The way these work, it will do the outer petals first, then the middle, and then the circle for the last. So we're going to change back to our turquoise thread. Change back to our turquoise thread. Woohoo! Okay. Get that party started. Okay, just 3 steps left to have this block done. Okay, here we go. Oh, Bernadette, I'll tell you, the folks at S&P are awesome, aren't they? Super nice people. This is motif number 4 in this series that we are doing. pretty stitch it's doing right now as well. I love the digitizing of this. Y'all, I can see some of the lag now on my preview screen on my YouTube interface. We're just going to power through this block. If it doesn't equal out by the end of it, we're going to call it a night for tonight. Finish this block for sure. Listen, everybody, I will upload the recorded copy of this one tonight after it's over, and there will be no glitches, because everything I do live, I record on my local computer, just in case it's a really bad glitchy night like tonight is, but I'll upload that for everyone to see, and then you can rewatch it without glitches. it. When you purchase your Altair, Durkee makes a special frame for caps that will fit on an embroidery machine, such as the Altair, Meridian, Destiny, Solaris. It's called the Durkee hat. That's what you need to do hats. Stephanie, good evening. Thank you, Stephanie. All of this fabric for this whole top that I'm doing, these flowers, are out of one layer cake. I used a Tula Pink True Color layered cake 10-inch charm square pack, 42 squares in a pack for the colors for all my different flowers. Step is almost done. Once it stops and I change thread again, I'm going to bring the camera down way closer to it and try to get you a more detailed view of what that stitch it's stitching right now actually looks like. It's really beautiful. It almost looks like a honeycomb. Now it is time to change thread colors, but before we do that, I'm going to try to get you a close-up view of these beautiful stitches right here. Give that a chance to come into focus. There you go. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Very beautiful stitches. Mia, I really like this one as well. Absolutely. Karen, so there is a variety of different stitches. Some look vastly different, and some look a little bit alike. This one is just a narrower. Some of the other flowers had a much wider stitch that looked very similar to this. And yeah, so there is not all the stitches for every block is exactly alike. I guess would be the easiest way to answer that question. Now I'm going to change my thread color. We're going to put in the thread that matches this fabric right here. That's one of my favorite features on these wonderful sewing machines is that automatic needle threading where you just push a button and it threads your needles. Okay, so we're all threaded. Now we're going to stitch out the next step. Okay, here we go. Let's press that green button. Ready, set, go. Thank you, Bernadette. You know, I firmly believe that you need, if you're just getting started, my best advice to anybody is to stick with one brand of embroidery thread and get a lot of different colors in that one brand. It will make your life so much easier. The thread I'm using tonight for this project just happens to be Superior Magnifico thread. Okay, it's a 40 weight embroidery thread, 3,000 yard comb. You can also use it to quilt if you have a long arm. You can also use it in your long arm. If you have a serger, you can also use it in your serger. But the best advice I give to anybody that asks a thread question, find one brand and stick with it. Oh, Bernadette, that 30-foot accessory bag is well worth it. You need that. Belinda, I'm the same way. I've got 10 different brands of thread, and it gets so confusing to do that, especially if you're stitching out a design that says to use a specific color number. That's where it really gets super confusing, some of these big title scenes. Bernadette, most embroidery thread is 40 weight. The 60 weight thread is usually for your bobbin. However, that being said, personally, I don't wind my own bobbins. I buy a box that has 144 pre-wound bobbins, and this is 90 weight thread. Okay, 90 weight embroidery bobbin thread. That's all it's good for. You'll never regret buying a box of bobbins, pre-wound bobbins for your embroidery machine. But yes, Belinda, you're right. You want 40 weight embroidery thread. That's your top thread. 100% you want that. wonderful, Bernadette. You need those. You love having those. I agree, Cynthia. Like if you're doing freestanding lace, yeah, there's where you would not want to use a pre-wound bobbin. You'd want to match your thread color, your bobbin thread color to your top thread color. So that would definitely be an instance where you would really want to not use a pre-wound bobbin. If you're doing quilting in the hoop, where you put a quilt sandwich in the hoop, you don't want to use that lightweight embroidery bobbin. Use the same quilting thread in your bobbin as in your top thread when you do quilting in the hoop. Just a suggestion, that's just what I do. Yes, Mia, that is a hoop that you can attach a baseball cap to embroidery on the front of the baseball cap. That's what a cap hoop does. Oh, Belinda, it's fairly easy to do freestanding lace. Oh, Bernadette, I agree with you. Freestanding lace is beautiful. There's a lot of cool projects out there to do freestanding lace. When you do freestanding lace, you want to use water-soluble stabilizer. Absolutely, Cynthia, that's what you want to do. That's exactly what I do as well. I wind my quilting bobbin to the same thread that's going to be seen from the top of the quilt, so it'll be as well for the bottom. Absolutely, Mark. You can also do freestanding lace on organza as well to get some beautiful effects. We can do that in the future, Coralie, for sure. Absolutely. Step to go on this block. Let's get a close-up of this one. And this one looks a little bit different from the previous. There you can see the difference between the two. It's a good crisp image right there. And I believe our streaming issue may have resolved itself. I think everybody should be seeing everything zinked right now. I'm seeing green lights all across the board for stream quality. For right now, anyway. Okay. So now we're going to change to our thread that matches this one. Okay. That's what I'm going to change to right there. It just seems like this issue happens between 6 and about 6:45 or so, and then it straightens itself out. So it tells me, if you want to talk about technical stuff, the bandwidth, there's somebody taking a lot of bandwidth in my area during that time frame. Yes, Bernadette, it is lilac. Just thread that needle. And that's what seems to be causing the issue, the lagging issues, so to speak. Okay, so we're going to get started on this one. This is just about a 1-minute stitch out, and this block will be complete. Woohoo! Isn't that right, Mike? I don't know, Karen. This is a small town. We're only 2,500 people here in this little town, but boy howdy. I will tell you, and Mike is right, when our internet price almost doubled, it seems like the quality of our stream went about 50% less than what it was before that. I don't know. It's aggravating. Very well might be people watching Netflix during dinner. I don't know. And that's a beautiful stitch there as well. That's yet a different stitch for the stitch out. Bernadette, that is what is programmed into the design, so I have no control over that. But these are not built-in stitches for any embroidery machine. The person who creates this design creates these stitches as well. So that's what the designer decided for this block, was to use these 3 different stitches. And don't they look pretty though? Oh my goodness. Check that out. And there's that center one there. That focus on out. I agree, Karen. It's just I just can't figure it. There's no rhyme or reason for, and especially here in this small town, there's no big businesses here. It's just bizarre. Okay, so that is that one. I'm going to take these threads out. If everybody's game, I'm going to go ahead and do the other one as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rehoop, take this out and then rehoop it. Rehoop it fresh. There we go. And when I trim off the excess fabric here, it'll all be nice and centered and all that fun stuff. But I already have my stabilizer cut. And I have an 8.5 inch square of fabric cut. This 8.5 inch square of fabric will be trimmed to a 6.5 inch square before the blocks are all sewn together. And I just try to get it centered in the hoop as best I can. So forth and so on. About right there looks good. There we go. And I'm going to tighten it down. By tightening down, I mean I'm just screwing this in until it's nice and snug. Okay. So what I'm going to do this time, I got to go back to, now I've got different fabric for this one, of course. Let me show you what those are going to look like before we get started here. So over here, this will be the center, the round circle, and its thread. This is the thread for it, and this will be the center petals. And this darker purpley fuchsia is going to be the outer petals. Yes, Cynthia, I press from the back side of the block, and sometimes I'll even use a pressing cloth, just to be safe. Okay, so this is going to be my first one. We're going to do the outer petals first. Okay. Oops. I'm going to thread the machine with my purple thread. Here we go. I'm just going to place this over here. And I'm not going to do the placement stitch this time, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and do my tack down. Let's get that needle threaded. Okay. Just smooth it down. If your person wanted to, they could put some embroidery tape out here at the edges to hold it in place. But you know, this is going to be okay. So I'm not going to do that. But you could if you wanted to. Okay. And our needle's threaded. Right there, I can see that. So I'm going to go down to the tack down stitch and press the start button. During this first one, I might occasionally just make sure the fabrics stay nice and flat and smooth as it's stitching around each one of these petals. Oh, thank you, Hope, and hello. It is beautiful, isn't it? I love the colors right here. I think these are my favorite colors. These purple and magenta and fuchsia. Love those colors. Just making sure it's smooth, stays nice and smooth. And I figured that I got to put another bobbin in, so if that ever happens, all the machines, this works the same way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap the reinforcement stitch, touch that. I'm going to cut my thread. This works the same on the Altair, Meridian, Destiny as well. And all you have to do, the screen will tell you exactly what to do. It has these machines, the Altair, the Solaris, all of them The top of the line machines, they have a built-in tutor that guides you through the entire process. Then I'm going to press this button right here, and that'll move the hoop. Notice what it's doing here. It just moved the hoop and parked it, so now we can remove the embroidery frame. That's what the screen is saying. Remove the embroidery frame, replace the bobbin. There we go. See, there's hardly anything left on it. And we'll put in a full bobbin. There's a fresh one. Easy peasy. There you go. There we go. And just lift it up. Come here, you. It has a built-in little thread cutter right there. Okay. Now, I'm going to replace this. And the machine remembers right where it left off. Okay. Press the OK button, then the Start button, and it'll pick up right where it's left off. However, when I was moving that hoop, it unthreaded the needle. So, let me rethread the needle. There we go. Okay. There we go. And then hit the Start button. And it's back doing pick up right where it left off. Okay. Oh, yes, Cynthia. When you purchase the design, you do not get fabric with it. So you can check your local quilt shop, or you can go to lunchboxquilts.com and purchase it directly from them if you do not have a local retailer that can get that for you. Cynthia, the fabric does not come with the design. You have to choose your own fabric. Okay. And now we're going to trim that. Take it out of the hoop and trim it. And when you buy a design from Lunch Box Quilts or from a retailer who sells them, what you get is a CD, and then you also get a card inside the package where you can download the design directly to a USB stick if you want to. Plus you get all the printed instructions. Hold on. Lunchboxquilts.com. There is the web address right there. But this is what you get inside the kit, including the embroidery CD and a card that tells you how to go to their website and download those embroidery designs. So you get detailed instructions, all the stitch sequencing charts for all the different blocks, how to lay it out, beautiful handwritten instructions that are super duper easy to follow, can't go wrong with it. There's a chart here that shows you what size fabric pieces of fabric to cut, and then what you will trim it down to for its finished size, how many we need for each block for the large quilt or for the wall hanging on this side. So we're doing block number 4 this week. It just needs 2. Block number 3 next week, block 5 next week, we'll need 3 blocks of that. So yeah, super easy instructions to follow. Okay, so let's get this trimmed. Let's get this one trimmed. As you can see, it's really not that difficult to trim these. Not a bit. My little thread snips are really working well, and just most of you know who have followed me, you know that I am a Tula Pink person. But these are Tula Pink thread snips. I have never used them to cut fabric with, and they're really working out quite well, to be perfectly honest. So there you go, Mark. Here's what you need. I still like the little Kai scissors, though. I really like those a lot as well. I'd say if you might have like arthritis, totally do these. Or if you have large hands like I do, you might want to use these squeeze snips instead of the little scissory ones. Whatever works. Here we go. Okay, now we're ready for layer number 2. And yes, we will have to rethread our machine. That next thread color. Here we go. Okay. And this is the thread for those center, the fabric for our center motifs. And now I'm just going to cover up the other fabric, because I know then that would be, we'll cover the area we need to. I'm not going to do a placement stitch. I'm just going to go straight to the tack down stitch again. One time you would want to use the placement stitch for sure is if maybe you're going to use a bunch of scraps. And there is where you would really need to have all the placement stitches stitched down if you were going to use up a bunch of scraps that you would want to use into one of these designs. Okay, so there's that. I just forward it to the needle plus and minus to skip the placement stitch. Now I'm at the tack down stitch, and I'm going to press the start button. Not before I thread the needle though. There we go. Now let's press that start button. There we go. Just making sure that was correct. Oh, thank you, Christina. Thank you, Mark, for explaining that. I appreciate it. Okay. Woohoo. Now we're going to take this out and trim it. And let's just come here on this side and get started. Just trimming around this tack down stitch for the center area of motifs, the little petals. There we go. Alrighty. We have one more tack down stitch to go, and that's for the center of the flower. Little circle. This is what I'm going to use for that, is this green. It's going to cut me out a square. Center it right in the center of this. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go directly and do the tack down stitch. First, I am going to change my thread color. Get this pretty green right here. It's kind of like a pistachio green. Oh, Linda, that was the Big Charmer quilt. Yes, Big Charmer is what that one was, Linda. And I still have mine. I finally got it quilted and everything. And excuse me, I'll have to do a show and tell, a show and tell here on that. We'll do that next Friday night. I'll do a show and tell. But yes, that was a fun one too. Make sure it stays nice and smooth. There we go. Okay, now we're going to trim that. Now, when this video series is done, I'm going to edit all of these weeks of videos so that it's not as lengthy and there'll be a more concise viewing of all of this, if that makes sense. So instead of a 2-hour video, it'll be like a 15-minute video. After all the episodes are done. There we go. So check that out. There it is. Now we're going to do our decorative stitching. Okay. Put the purple on first because it goes from the outside edge to the inside. Just the same way you layered the fabric down. Okay. And we are ready to press the start button. And yes, Linda, this is one of those layer cakes that I used for the Big Charmer. That you probably recognize those because this is the same layer cake that the kits that I sold had the same layer cake. Yes, Karen, I'm absolutely, and I'll tell you, whether it's Tula Pink or Kate or your favorite fabric designer, they have put much time and effort to create that collection so all those fabrics will work together. It makes it easy for us on the end to be able to do that. Pause that just for a minute. I see a little thread right here. I just don't want it to get caught on the foot, cause a malfunction. I see one right here as well. There we go. Now we'll restart it. is correct, Karen. Depends how extensive your scrap pile is. Yes, Chris, you could. You could use one neutral thread for all the tack-down stitching, absolutely. If I was going to do that, I would use like a medium to light gray. Probably more like a medium gray thread is what I would use for that if I wanted to do that. Yes. Oh, Cynthia, this actually, funny you should say that, because the sample of the cover of this is all done in cake fabric, except for the gray background, that's like a load of grunge. But all these other fabrics in these blocks were done with cake, and I can tell that when you get a close of enough view of it. This is a cake fabric right here, the binding is, and if you get a close look at these fabrics, you can tell that they are cake fabrics. I did not have a layer cake. Oh, a layer cake of cake, or I would have used that one. I could have used that as well. Absolutely, Mark. I'll agree with Mark. Thank you, everyone, for such an enjoyable and educational evening. It's been great chatting with everybody. Yes, Cynthia. I think Tula and Cake fabric, they are happy fabrics, and I guess that's what I just love using both Tula and Cake because they are happy fabric, and it makes whatever you make a happy, in this case, happy flowers. It's wonderful. Absolutely, Mia. They will make you smile, won't they? I've just been sitting here watching the stitch out the design. It is just kind of puts you in a whole. It's almost. It's kind of therapeutic, and at the same time, it just kind of makes you zone out as you're watching it. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's experienced that. Yes, Coralie, it is, isn't it? I'm just trying to watch my monitor so I don't zone out again on y'all. Cynthia, it certainly is. Okay, now we get to swap threads. Yeah, Karen, it will not be a super lightweight quilt, that is for sure. Keep in mind there's a lot of layers of fabric on these little flowers, but you know, it'll still make a beautiful, it won't be that, it's not like you're using multiple layers of denim. But no, it'll still make a beautiful, it'll have a nice drape to it, but it will be a heavier quilt top than just one that's been strictly pieced. And most embroidery applique quilt tops are like that. Okay, so next we're going to change out to our yellow thread color. Oops. I went to the refrigerator and grabbed something for show and tell. Hold on a minute here. Done with that thread for tonight. Let's put in our nice pale, I don't know what to call it. It's more like a pale butter type of color, perhaps. I don't know. It's really a beautiful, yummy, rich shade of, it's kind of like a creamy yellow. That's a good, maybe a better description for it. A creamy yellow. Okay. And even though I have really large cones of thread, it's not, this is really not using a lot of thread, everybody, just so you know that as well. Okay, so that's all set. It is set to go. Let's get it started. Now, some of you are probably aware that I like to go mushroom. And this week, last week, I've been hiking quite a bit, and this is what I've been gathering. This is called a pheasant back mushroom. Excuse me, they grow on logs. This is the underside. It has pores. There's no gills. And it's an easy one to collect because there's not a look-alike for it. But if you smell this side right here, it smells like watermelon rind. That's what the smell is like. And I can tell you because we have found over 8 pounds of these mushrooms this week on our hikes. And I've had them in omelets. I have dehydrated the bulk of it to use in soups. But then today I also made a fresh pot in my Instapot of a mushroom soup with chicken broth and sauteed onions and garlic, and then a few bunches of chives. And then I went out and harvested some wild lettuce and added some of that to it, and boy howdy, it is delicious. Love this. Love to go hiking. So far in April, I have hiked 23 miles in the forest, according to my Apple Watch. Oh, you know, what does it taste like? Well, the smaller you get of these, so for this one, the tenderest part's going to be about this much around the ring of it, the outside edge. The rest of that I will dehydrate and make into a powder for soup and gravy. But it tastes, if you get them tender enough, they have the same taste as a morel. They taste better than a white button mushroom. And yes, Susan, it does look like an onion bagel, doesn't it? I love onion bagels. Oh my gosh, don't get me started on those. But no, super easy to harvest, and actually they just grow on the side of logs and tree stumps that have died, and it's super easy to get that. Another name for this mushroom is dryad saddle, but it's an awesome mushroom, and a lot of people don't like them because of the smell. Because if you like how cucumbers and watermelon rind smell, that's one of the ways to identify this particular fungus. I have yet to find a morel this year. So once I discovered these, I now tell people, no, I don't go morel hunting. I go hunting for these because I know I have a much better chance of finding these than morels. But yeah, the pheasant back mushroom, so much fun. And they also have a good medicinal value. So everything I've read about them, if you make a tea out of them, they're great, and it will really boost your immune system to fight a cold or anything like that, the flu, all that kind of stuff. Which is another reason I'm grinding a bunch up for powder, that some of it I'm going to actually save to use as a medicinal. That's kind of like one of my hobbies, is reading up and studying medicinal mushrooms and plants as well. There's a certain root plant in the forests I'm looking for that you can use to dye fabric with. It's called a bloodroot, but it will dye fabric an orangey red color. The Indians used it to dye stuff with. I haven't found any yet, but I'm looking. And it's nice to go out and hike in the woods. There's a lot of areas here that are public land, which is where I go at. I don't go on nobody's private land. But I just stay on public land that has hiking trails, and that's what I search for. If I don't find any, that's okay. I've had a 2 or 3 mile hike, and it's really good for me, so I'm really enjoying that this year. I'm going to start strapping a GoPro on me and start filming that so I can kind of share my wilderness adventures with everybody. Ooh, that one's a real pretty one too. I like it. Those colors work well together. It's got that beautiful honeycomb stitching on it right here. I've seen a bunch of deer out on my hikes this week. Pretty soon this is just the beginning of mushroom season here in this part of Illinois where I live. The next ones I'll be able to hunt for will be oyster mushrooms and chanterelles. Looking forward to that one as well. Oh, absolutely, Sylvia. Alrighty. Now we just have our little center to go through, and we're going to change to our pistachio. That's what I'm calling it anyway. It's kind of a yellowish green, actually. More green than yellow, but it has that chartreuse pistachio color to it. Okay, let's get that one on there. So I've dehydrated over 6 pounds of mushrooms this week. I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment. Okay. Get that start button. Welcome back, Bernadette. What's he having for dinner? Oh, I love mushrooms too, Bernadette. It's a passion. My parents taught me how to hunt for morels when my first foray out into the woods when I was 5 or 6 years old. They taught me early on how to hunt for mushrooms. Oh, I'm totally digging the green center on this one. That thread is perfect for that fabric. Oh my gosh, look at that. No, Bernadette, this, and I'm going to show you that. Check it out. This is not portobello. I found this on my hikes this week. This is a pheasant back mushroom. Okay, pheasant back. Ooh, pizza sounds wonderful. Pheasant back is one that grows on a log or a stump. There's the underside of it. And when you smell of it, they smell like watermelon rind or cucumbers. Different people say different things, but that's what the most common things it's called. And it has a wonderful nutty flavor. Today I sauteed some of this with onions and garlic and chives. I sauteed them, and then I added chicken broth and some wild lettuce that I foraged, and I made a soup out of it, and it was so good. Okay, so there it is. Woohoo! Those are the 2 blocks we need for our project right there. And I dried a little over 6 pounds of what we harvested this week. So here's 1 jar of my dried mushroom. These are all the pheasant backs. Let me put this up a little bit. And when they're dry, I have a big dehydrator, okay? So these are bits that I can either rehydrate into soup, or I can also powder all of this to use it in a tea or for medicinal purposes, or to add it to great other soups and gravy as a powder. There's that, and then this one. Before these were dried, the volume of this was, you multiply this volume times 4, and that's how much mini mushrooms that was. Quite a bit. Aren't they? They're pretty dried too. Look how beautiful and golden colored they are. All nice and dried. Okay. So, set those back down. And that's all. I won't. We'll talk more about the mushrooms this next week, see if I can find any more. But let me move to my other camera. There we go. Hello there. Yeah, so just a little bit of talking about my other passion and hobby. But there we go. We have 2 of these done tonight. And these are the 2 that I needed for our quilt project that we are slowly acquiring all the blocks for this. So tomorrow, next week, these will be on the wall with the other ones up here. Alrighty. Oh, Mia, they'll keep, as long as they're sealed, they will keep for a couple of years dehydrated. Even if they're powdered, as long as you keep them in an airtight container, they will last pretty much indefinitely as far as that goes. If you wanted to, however, I can tell you, you probably wouldn't be able to keep them that long because you're going to want to use them. Yes, we have 3 dehydrators. When we lived in Colorado on the farm, we did a lot more of that. But have one that looks like an oven with metal trays that come in that like 10 metal trays. Then we have a couple that are those circular type of dehydrators that you see. But they're all good. It's a wonderful way to put some stuff up. Then, let's see. A few nights ago, I cut on the tender parts of this, I cut some bigger pieces and I breaded them in egg and flour and deep fried them with some pork chops. And they were really yummy that way as well. Yeah, a dehydrator is a wonderful thing because, you can dehydrate virtually any vegetable or fresh fruit in a dehydrator. Cynthia, I'm about 100 miles southwest of Chicago, right in north central Illinois is where I live at. A little town called Henry, Illinois, just north of Peoria, Illinois. Live right along the banks of the Illinois River. This little town sits on the banks of the Illinois River. Morels, it's been a slow season here for morels because we have not had a lot of rain. So here it hasn't had a lot of rain and the temperature has been kind of cold also. It just hasn't had the right mixture of moisture and 60 to 70 degree weather at the right time to really make the morels pop yet. I'm still hoping there's still another 2 to 3 week window where we could get some. Oh, sure. Cynthia, this type of mushroom I'm showing you tonight, it grows all over at least the eastern United States. I don't know about out west, but I know these are very common east of the Mississippi River and up in Minnesota as well. Oh, wonderful, Bernadette. Northern Michigan has a lot of wonderful mushrooms as well up there. From what I've read, chanterelles is a big thing up in northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin. Supposedly we have them here in the area that I live as well. And I'm hoping that is the case. Yes, a very nutty flavor, yes. Yes, Mike. Mikey is telling you also, Cynthia, he is actually studying mycology. And he is a knows much more than I do about a lot of these mushrooms and stuff. All I know is they're fun to find. Okay, Bernadette. Yeah, absolutely. There is mushroom seasons up there in that part of Michigan as well. They have morels up there also. Oh, absolutely, Cynthia. I know Minnesota does. Usually you find morels around here, elm trees, apple trees, sometimes oak, but most people tell you to look for morels in elm trees is what a lot of people around here say is where you should search for morels. But I've heard people say you can find them anywhere as far as that goes. And think of it this way, if you do happen to go out and look for mushrooms, you're also getting really great exercise and you're getting outside and enjoying nature, and that's as important a part of it as actually finding mushrooms. Last year, Mike found lion's mane, he found oyster, he found chicken of the woods. He found a lot of different varieties of mushrooms last year. And chicken of the woods, they grow on logs and stumps, kind of like this pheasant backs that I've been showing you. But they really taste like chicken, like chicken breast meat. They taste like chicken. That's why they're called chicken of the woods. I'm just reading the comments, everybody. Yes, see, I'm sorry, Mike. I forgot about that big, beautiful red reishi you found. Oh my gosh. And another medicinal mushroom, they're not good to eat, but you can drink the tea from them, is something called turkey tail. Wonderful. Mike, I'm thinking there was another mushroom you found last year. What was that? I was thinking there was one more, because you found a bunch last year. That reishi mushroom, those are total medicinal stuff. Medicinal. Oh, Cynthia. Let me tell you something. If you're going to go out for mushrooms, you need to educate yourself, for one thing. And there are some great books out there that you can purchase that will help you identify those mushrooms. If you cannot positively identify a mushroom with 100% certainty, never put it in your mouth. That's all I'm going to say. But I purchased a book off of Amazon that says that the title of Edible Wild Mushrooms in Illinois. So that's the guidebook I am using to identify. And there's certain brands of types of mushrooms that are really easy to identify. This is one of them. Okay. There's not a look-alike for this particular mushroom. So once you've seen this one once, you'll never have to guess as to what that is again. Tons of photos and stuff like that for that one. And just something, if you're going to do that, there are a lot of local mushroom groups wherever you live as well. And those always good sources of information for identifying mushrooms. But never guess that a wild mushroom is edible unless you absolutely positively know that it's not. And most mushrooms, even if you do get sick from them, most of them is going to be where you have gastrointestinal distress or vomiting or whatever. That's what most of them are. You might be some I've heard people have eaten, not what I have got here in front of you tonight. But some people don't take the time to double check and make sure that you have 100% edible mushroom, and then you get sick from it. And by sick, I don't mean deathly sick, but you're, vomiting, diarrhea, all that kind of stuff. However, that being said, there are some mushrooms that are super edible mushrooms that are super easy to identify. And if you're just getting started out, that's the only thing you should look for. Okay? Also, with a wild mushroom, you never, ever, ever, ever eat it raw. It always has to be thoroughly cooked. That's a big difference between a wild mushroom and a commercial mushroom you buy in the grocery store. Always fully cook wild mushrooms. Even these. And even if it's edible, some people might not tolerate mushrooms as well as the next, so don't eat a lot of it. The first time you try any kind of mushroom, eat just a little bit and see just to make sure your body can handle digesting one. Okay? That's what you want to do. Excuse me. And I just want to say this as well for those of you that are still listening. Everything I'm telling you about mushrooms, I'm going to make a legal disclaimer here, is for information purposes only. You are responsible to research your own mushrooms and 100% positively identify them before you put one in your mouth, okay? That is on you, not on me, okay? I just want to make sure of that one. But really and truly, you can, different ways to identify, get a good book if you're serious about it. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to identify mushrooms. And then there's local guides and help. Every state has a Department of Natural Resources, and those biologists that works for the state wherever you live at, they can help you as well and give you advice. Okay. And now I'll shut up about mushrooms. Oh, Becky, did they get snow up there last week? Oh my goodness. I don't know about shorts in the wintertime in Michigan. When I've been up there in the wintertime, I don't want to wear shorts. It's cold. So everybody, we're gonna wrap it up. Oh my goodness. Flip-flops all year long. Wowzers. Cynthia, I tell you what, I remember as a kid, we took our family vacations. Every June, we'd go to Brainerd, Minnesota to go crappie fishing. We'd spend a week at a lake. My parents would rent a log cabin on the lake for us to go and do our crappie fishing for our summer vacation there. It was awesome. I love Minnesota. It's beautiful, so beautiful up there. But listen, everybody, I'm going to call it a night, and we're going to wrap this up. It's been great chit-chatting with y'all, and hey, next Friday night we will be doing block number 5. 3 blocks. We need 3 blocks of block number 5 for this adventure for next week. And I will see y'all. Oh, Duluth, Minnesota. I love Duluth. Oh my God. I also remember from our time up in Minnesota the smelt runs. Do they still have those up there? Those little fish. I love the smelt runs. I remember us having those in Brainerd, eating those. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. Okay, everybody, let's call it a night. We will have another fun night next Friday night. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I truly love each and every one of you, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend, and hey, maybe I'll meet you out there on the mushroom trails. Okay, good night, everybody.